everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be.
And welcome to Screwballs the Podcast, baseball, comedy, and debauchery. That's what we're here to talk about. Welcome. It's me. I'm your host, Jake Gallo, and I got my trusty sidekick, Bryan, over here. He's wearing the Boston hat today.
For Little League purposes.
Little League purposes. I used to say that with the Yankee hat. Everyone's like, you suddenly a Yankee fan?
Right.
I secretly dig their hat, but I don't give a shit, and I have no allegiance to New York. So I'm like, nah, I coached a Little League team. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. Is that what you keep it on? No, I just like the hat. But yeah, I thought the B was for Bryan, but whatever. Anyway, welcome, you guys. Looking forward to it. We're going to cover a lot on this podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking baseball, obviously. We'll be doing the current situation in the league. We'll be covering some of the new rule changes. We'll be talking about injury updates, current players, what the standings and who's surprising you this year. But like I said, we're not ESPN. This is not Scott Van Pelt show. We're allowed to cuss and have fun and talk a little shit without having to worry about our sponsors or people canceling us. So
That's right.
We're going to have a ball here and really get into some dirt. We'll be talking about all the shit that, is now surfacing. If you grew up in the 80s, 90s, like a lot of us did in our age demographic, that's stupid. Of course they did. But you were a baseball fan. More importantly then, in the 80s, 90s, all this stuff, all these players you saw on This Week in Baseball, all the baseball cards you collected, the rumors of everything you saw on SportsCenter, but you never got to tune in to get the full story. All this stuff is resurfacing now on YouTube. You're getting mic'd up coaches and players that hated each other, problems on and off the field. You're getting more of this because there's so much media out there. So we're going to dig into a lot of that crap because it's fun. I'll give you an example. Jim Leyritz, former catcher, Yankees, Dodgers, on a few teams. It's kind of a dirt bag, just right? You remember Leyritz? There was nothing. He wasn't like Lenny Dykstra that we'll get into later, but he was Leyritz. He was tough. He was gritty, and he has a podcast now, and he had Darryl Strawberry on, and you're thinking, wow, Darryl Strawberry, right? Like this dude. Darryl Strawberry did some hard time, like in life. He's from South Central. He was a great athlete. He played baseball. But if you're familiar, Strawberry had tons of problems with drugs and alcohol, cocaine, domestic violence, second chances. He was a story, but anyway, so like I see this podcast, Jim Leyritz podcast, and he's got Darryl Strawberry on. My friend edited it, and I was thinking, oh, this is going to be great. And I said, how was the podcast? What was it like? What did they talk about? And he goes, you know what they talked about? Jim Leyritz and Darryl Strawberry for an hour. Bryan, you know what they talked about? You think they talked about the cool, interesting shit, everything that went wrong in their lives that we want to hear about? No, they didn't talk about any of that shit.
That sucks.
All they talked about for 1 hour straight was the relationship with God.
Ugh.
Right?
Jesus.
Like, that's fine. It's fine and dandy and all to have that relationship, but nobody wants to hear about it, dude. I don't want to hear about that crap. Oh, Darryl, tell us your testimonials about how you found God in the darkest moments of cocaine use. Like, I don't give a shit. I want to hear what you did and how much you paid that hooker in New York when you were in the thralls of the Coke Wars, when you were in the trenches, I don't care. I don't want to hear about church. That's boring. I've heard it a million times. But anyway, that's a disappointment. So what I'm saying is we're not doing that. We're doing the polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Darryl, in advance. We're going to dig you up. We're going to have fun with you. We'll probably make fun of you. Who knows? If we ever go anywhere, maybe you'll get pissed enough to come on the show. But we won't want you because I don't want to have God talk on the show. That's Sundays are for church. Just kidding. They're for day baseball games and drinking. I think now let's go around the league. You guys, the season just started. We're a little shy of 3 weeks into it. I got to tell you, I'm a Dodger fan, like a lot of locals here, obviously. And I got to say, Bryan, they look like shit. So, I mean...
Yesterday's game was woof.
Dude, the last 3 games were
right.
woof. Like, and it's always something. It's like the hitting. They'll score 10, 12 runs a game, and then the next game, 2 games, they'll score 1 or 2 runs and lose. Their bullpen will be great. Starters will be great. And then the starter will give 6 innings. The bullpen will come in the next night and give up 8 runs. And it's like, all right, I get it. We're only 3 weeks in. They got some ironing out to do. Every team does. But the way the Dodgers have been starting, in the past 8 years to a decade, they're always hot. You always can count on them. Doesn't look good this year, but I'm kind of hoping that if you guys kind of feel me on this, they're always expected to win the West. They're always expected to go to the World Series. And I actually think that fucks with them a little bit.
I think they're in a decent position right now because they're able to get the shit out right now and work on their
No, yeah, I feel that. Well, every team, I think, does that too, and that's good right now for them because usually they start and their Dodgers are flying. They're punching. They're ready to go. They're we're in charge here. And this year, maybe the baseball gods are listening, This year, I was like, I don't want the Dodgers to like they did last year, win 111 games. And it's boring, to be honest with you. It's not really the Dodgers style.
They need to be humbled.
I'd rather see the Dodgers sneak into the playoffs via wild card, get like a 6 seed, not be the favorite and get the week off and all that, and actually have to grind it out and show up to play as opposed to being expected to just dominate teams because that never works out for them. But anyway, the Dodgers look like shit. But then again, they're in the West, and no one in the West is running away with it. You guys agree? The Padres they're supposed to be great. They don't look too solid. The one team that I claimed last year, I said if they really kind of focus on the little things, they have a lot of talent, is the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they're already showing it. Aren't they in first right now?
They're in first.
Let's bring up pull up the standings there, Jamie. But yeah, look at Arizona, 10-7, dude.
It's all shit in the West.
Yeah, it is. The Dodgers they're under 500, 8-9. The Padres are 8-10. Fucking Giants are 5-10. Like, it's not looking good. Teams will get hot. We get that. But I'm telling you, Arizona, I said it last year, they have 3 starters that are quality. They have Madison Bumgarner. Everyone knows about Madison Bumgarner. Whether he's what he was used to, what he used to be in San Francisco, which he's not. He's still a pitcher. He still knows what he's doing. He's solid. He's a good third starter, like solid third starter. They got Zach Gallen, who to me, some days he seems unhittable, and other days he's just tough, if that makes sense. Like, he's never fun. He did get roped the other night. See, all these guys I'm talking up, I'm looking back a day or two ago, and it seems like they're getting fucking totaled after I'm. But no, Zach Gallen, and they got Merrill Kelly. He had a great year last year and the year before. They got those 3 top starters. They have a pretty decent bullpen, and then their closer, Chafin, I can't think of his first name. He looks like he drives a fucking truck through Phoenix, delivering water to communities. Like, he's got the Fu Manchu and the mullet.
Andrew Chafin,
and he's a lefty, so he's a southpaw, and he's a hard, and he's got a pretty gnarly, arm side fastball, which means he'll cut to the corner on the outer part to righties and throws it hard, and he's got a pretty fucked up changeup. All I know is Max Muncy can't hit him. Andrew Chafin. So they got a good squad, and then they got, you think of their hitting, they got Christian Walker, who we'll get into a little later, I think is one of the more underrated players in the National League. He's only like this 4th year, so he's had 2 really good years. We'll see what he does this year. He never gets talked about. They got him. He hit 36 home runs last year. 36 fucking home runs, Bryan. No one's talking about him.
No one's talking.
No one mentioned him. And I looked up and said, what the fuck, 36? I know this because he owns Clayton Kershaw. He gives him a bad time. So they were bringing him up, and he's, he hits bombs, dude. And he's a first baseman. They got Ketel Marte, who's a great player. They got a rookie who's really good, I noticed last year. He's going to be something else. That's Corbin Carroll. Dude, they got a bunch of players that no one knows about. And I'm just saying, they're already proving it. They're kind of, I don't know if they'll last, but who knows? Anyway, that's what's going on there. Another surprise team. The whole National League Central is a surprise. The Pittsburgh Pirates are doing really good. Or they were. I haven't checked in a couple days.
10-7.
10-7, exactly. The Pittsburgh Pirates are 10-7. Chicago Cubs are 9-8. Milwaukee Brewers are 12 and what?
5.
12-5. And they got their Corbin Burns, their pitcher. He just went down with the injuries. Lots of injuries happening. Corbin Burns, he went Cy Young last year over Julio Urias. I believe he did. Or was that Sandy Alcantara? I don't know. Corbin Burns is in the top 3 Cy Young conversation every year, and he's the Brewers' main dude. He just went down. Something happened to him. They don't know how long he'll be out, so that's always concerning for them.
He won the 2021 Cy Young Award.
He was 2021 Cy Young. Yeah, and Jacob DeGrom. Jacob Glass DeGrom. You know Jacob DeGrom is? He's great. When he's healthy, he's lights out. Everybody knows it. He's practically unhittable. But the operative word there is healthy. He's like, you guys remember Mike Tyson's Punch Out? Do you remember Glass Joe? The first dude you'd fight? That's DeGrom. Glass Jake. That's what he is, dude. Jake DeGrom is made of glass. And every time I argue with 14-year-olds on Instagram, on baseball sites about this, but it's true, dude. The guy's like, he was pitching lights out yesterday for the Rangers. There it is. Injury update. Ace exit with wrist soreness after 4 no-hit innings versus Royals. That's what I'm talking about. Wrist soreness? Is this going to be a new injury? It's usually the elbow, the shoulder, no-hit innings. Do you see that? Like, that's what this dude does every time, and it's like every 4 or 5 starts, there's something goes wrong. And this doesn't seem major, but it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. That's just it. Like, what's your gig, dude? Fucking suck it up. Like, fuck, man. I don't know. I think these players today, with all the medical technology and advances they have compared to what it used to be, the dudes today are soft as shit compared to back in the day. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's weird. They have way better treatment, way better health regimens, workout schedule, everything. And they're pussies. Like, I got a hangnail. I can't hit today, which makes sense, but not really. Like, really, dude? Like, come on. Fernando Tatis Jr. is coming back this week. Probably tomorrow, the next day. I don't know. This week, he'll be back.
He got suspended, right?
He got suspended last season for PED use. If you guys all remember this. He's one of the more exciting and definitely talented baseball players in today's game. He kind of bothers me because he's on the Padres. I'm a Dodger fan, and he's really good. But he's bullshit in so many different ways. Not his ability to play the game.
It's just his attitude, right?
Yeah, and I've never heard him, so to speak, like talking shit. But it's his attitude. You would think that a guy who was raised by a major leaguer, like he comes from money, his dad didn't, but he did.
He's a Nepo baby.
Yes, he's exactly a Nepo baby. It's full nepotism, but he does have talent. It's not like he just squeaked in. Like, it's not like a board job. Hey, my dad was the president. It don't matter. If you can't play, you can't play. Yeah. But Fernando Tatis Jr. is oozing with talent. We all know that. But then he does dumb shit. Like, did he break his wrist originally, or he fractured it and he didn't say anything about it? He was riding like a motorcycle in Mexico in the off season, slammed it, did something to his wrist, and it was he said it didn't bother him. It was like lightly fractured. He didn't get checked out, even though he's worth millions of dollars, just signed this big contract. And then in spring training or something, right? He goes to go there and actually swing a bat and hit some balls. And he's like, ow, fuck, my wrist hurts. And they did x-rays and it was fractured.
Yep, motorcycle accident.
Yeah, motorcycle accident, knucklehead move when you're just signed a multi-million-dollar contract.
I wouldn't even ride a motorcycle.
Dude,
Jesus.
I wouldn't wipe my ass with the wrong hand if I'm making that much money, dude. I'm being like, yeah, I can't blow this. But no, there's that. And then he gets caught with PEDs, and he says he plays the dumb card. Like, oh, I was in South America in the off season. I used this like arthritic cream or some shit for my shoulder, and it had a banned substance that Major League Baseball bans. And it showed up on my test. Like, give me a break, dude. That's been done. People have said that before, dude. Barry Bonds. Oh, is this lotion I rubbed on my skin? I didn't know. Balco days. But he says dumb shit like that. And you would just think that at his level, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like being raised by an actual successful major leaguer, that he would have all this shit, and the people around him, that he would have his shit together in that sense. And he absolutely doesn't.
Right.
And they were even taught, the Padres general manager, Kevin Towers, I think it was, is that who's there still? I'm out of date with that. But anyway, they were talking, saying like, this guy seems kind of irresponsible. Maybe it's better we let him go, But That'd be dumb.
Yeah.
He's going to be good until he really screws up. But yeah, he's coming back this week. So Padres, you suck right now, and you're full of talent. We'll see what happens. Again, it kind of falls on pitching.
Absolutely.
It always does. Like the Dodgers, I think they were averaging the most runs scored per game so far this year in the National League, but they're inconsistent. Their bullpen sucks, so that's why they're under 500. It's really weird.
I mean, Jackson gave up 6 or 5 runs of 3 home runs.
Andre Jackson. You know what was funny about that? I said something about Andre Jackson to a guy at work because he pitched against the Giants, and he came in the 9th, and he went 1, 2, 3, like bam, bam, bam. And he was throwing 97-mile-an-hour heaters and then breaking off 86-mile-an-hour changeups right on the corner. I was like, dude, this is the guy. And I've seen him before, in the past. Anyway, he didn't, because then he went in after Syndergaard had a bad night, and in about 2 innings, he gave up 3 home runs.
It was sick.
Hey, way to leave him out there, Dave Roberts. I think Roberts was trying to get him demoted. So let's leave him out. One more hitter. Whack! There it goes. And he's all right. You're fucking out of here.
We got to save Roberts for another episode. It's like a whole episode.
Yeah, Roberts is a fucking headache. But anyway, so we got that going. That's what's happening around the league. Pretty boring shit. But it is, unless there's a real story going. But it's the very beginning of the season. We'll get into some juice. What it's time for now is we do a section here on this podcast every episode called
segment, yeah.
Segment. Segment. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, the segment's called In the Dirt. It's not gossip though. We're going to bring up pretty much criminal history or any kind of weird, incidences with famous major leaguers in general. And we'll dig in a little bit on them. But the first one we're going to start with today is this guy. If you followed baseball in the 80s, 90s, you grew up watching baseball in the 80s or 90s, you remember the 86 Mets, you remember the Phillies and all that stuff in the early 90s with John Kruk, Darren Dalton. There he is. There's our guy. We're going to be talking about Lenny Dykstra.
Yeah.
Nails. That's his nickname. And look at him. Look at him right there, dude. That's a great photo, dude.
A party boy.
Yeah, dude. That photo. That photo just screams fucking cokehead. I know it's like what I'm saying by that is I don't mean like he looks like he's fucked up. The fuck. That's not what a coke. This dude looks like a guy you would run into on a weekend in Vegas. You'd never meet him, and you guys would end up doing 8 balls all weekend and getting prostitutes and you're probably getting arrested. And lo and behold, that's what Lenny does. Dude, the dude's got a track record. His rap sheet's a mile long. We're gonna get into some of the stuff, but a lot of us remember he was local. He bought a place and that was bring up his picture now. This is Lenny now. What is he? 60 years old?
He's 60, yeah.
60 years old.
He looks like he's 80 though.
Yeah, I can't tell if he's stealing cigarettes out of the back of 18-wheelers on the Jersey Turnpike, or if he's just been arrested for perving on kids at his recovery church in Santa Ana.
So many variables.
I'm trying to look at. He's got a lot of. This is a man of many faces, dude. Yeah. Look at that.
That's a hard life.
Yeah, dude.
Interesting.
That's a prison shot, right? What is that?
Yeah, it's a mug shot.
Oh, it is a mug shot.
Yeah. One of his many arrests.
But yeah,
it's a legend.
Lenny has been arrested a lot. Let's. I have a few things here. Let's get into Lenny Dykstra.
Yeah.
Dykstra. So I think it was he retired in 96, and in 99 he got into some trouble with his car wash out there in Simi Valley. Local, huh? Lenny's a local guy, right? Where's Lenny Dykstra? First off, was born in Santa Ana, California,
near Anaheim Stadium.
Oh, right by Anaheim Stadium. For those of you that don't know, that's where Santa Ana is. But Santa Ana's a little bit rough. It's not what you might think when you think Orange County. Santa Ana's definitely a little more gangster. Anyway, Lenny Dykstra's from Santa Ana, California, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was an East Coast, upstate New York, maybe
Staten
New
Island.
Jersey, Staten Island dude for sure. And turns out, no, he's just your average fucking tweaker from Orange County. I don't know if Lenny did tweak, but I'm going to say yes after reading his rap sheet. Allegedly. But hey, so let's start with Lenny. June 6, 2011, Lenny Dykstra was arrested and charged with 25 misdemeanor and felony counts Everything included grand theft auto, identity theft, filing false financial statements, possession of cocaine, ecstasy, and the human growth hormone known as somatropin. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
I'm not a roid head. Was that all in 2011? Just that one time?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was I thought the 25 misdemeanor and felony accounts was over his lifetime. That was just that one charge. But
he lived in Encino. Holy shit.
Brian's it's a homegrown guy.
Homegrown. I grew up in Tarzana, so.
Yeah. Brian was home in the valley, but
I was like, what was I? I was 21.
But so here's what I can tell you about Lenny is Lenny filed for bankruptcy I think it was 2009. Mm-hmm. Lenny at the time, he listed that his assets was worth less than $50,000.
How do you do that?
Yeah, and his liability was $31 million. Quite a fucking turnaround. Talk about bottom heavy, dude. Like what?
How do you do bankruptcy fraud?
He was Lenny Dykstra was amazing. Worth. I'll tell you how you do it. Lenny Dykstra was worth $58 million at one point, and it came down to being worth $50,000 and owing $31 million. But no, Lenny got arrested for bankruptcy fraud because he filed bankruptcy in 2009. Basically, the trustee assigned to his case found that basically accused him of lying under oath and hiding assets. That's how it was fraud. He was telling him, I don't have this much. I only have this. I only have this. And he had tons of shit hidden, put away, different names, and they popped him. They found it. So it looks like he got 6.5 months in, was it federal? Yeah, 6.5 months in a federal prison for that. And while he was serving time in there, a couple months later, while he was doing time for the bankruptcy charges, he was hit with a bunch of new charges. Let's read it here. He was hit with new charges from identity theft. That was the identity theft, the cocaine possession, the human growth hormone, money laundering. Yeah, he entered a plea of no contest to grand theft auto charge and providing false financial statements.
That was a separate case, yeah.
That was a separate case. I can't even keep up.
I know.
I really can't, dude.
So many.
There was a separate case, and he got 3 years in state prison in terms for accepting, to take that. He pleaded no contest to the grand theft auto and false financial statements. You know what he did? I looked this up. Lenny and a buddy of his and some other dude basically were going to car dealerships, and they were getting false financial statements saying they had this much money, they had this many assets. They basically showed false bank account statements to the dealer, and the guy that was supposedly co-signing that never really co-signed. They used forged it or something, and then he and his two buddies left the lot with fucking, I don't remember what cars, but I'm imagining something corny and hokey and really expensive Lamborghinis or some bullshit like that, but hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cars, and they ended up finding out, and he got popped for that. But they returned the cars, which obviously they were depreciated, and so that was the only thing with that. But still, that on top of ecstasy, cocaine, HGH, and then of course he was part of the 2007 Mitchell report, the steroids, which is no big surprise and gives a fuck. That whole era was on that thing.
And then the next year, he proclaimed himself as a financial guru.
Yes.
And began writing a stock picking website column.
Yes, a stock picking website column, which kills me because he just got arrested, not just for bankruptcy, but bankruptcy fraud. He double fucked it. But here's what kills me. That's probably his thought process. He's like, hey, bankruptcy fraud. I was lying about it. I really wasn't bankrupt. I have great advice. Was that his thought? What the fuck? Isn't it funny how he kind of does have that accent, but he's from Santa Ana, but he sounds like he's fucking in The Sopranos almost?
I think it's just because he's drunk all the time.
Well, here's the other good thing about him here's another thing about Lenny Dykstra. Lenny Dykstra bought Wayne Gretzky's old house in Thousand Oaks, right here, right Thousand Oaks.
Westlake. Yeah.
It was Westlake Village, whatever. $17.5 million home mansion from Wayne Gretzky. And that thing went to such shit that they couldn't even sell it. Here, I have the whole thing right here. Look it up. It says, here, this is a direct quote from the guy that went to investigate, basically like the realtor, the property management that kind of was trying to take it over to sell it, to get it on the market. He said the house was left by Mr. Dykstra in an unshowable state, with raw sewage escaping from the main drain line left undone. Home was littered throughout with empty beer bottles, trash, dog feces, and urine, and other unmentionables.
I love that part.
To me, that just screams crack pipes, like fucking dildos, like, yeah, strap-ons, petri dishes. Like, I don't know. But yeah, dude, he just trashed that pad, dude. I think they did. Someone said it was like up for sale finally, like depreciated by $3.5 million after they spent hundreds of thousands to remedy it, clean it up, and they said, hey, this can all be yours for $14 million. I heard neighbors were complaining about the stench. It smelled so bad, the raw sewage leaking out, dog shit, beer trash everywhere, like in a mansion, dude.
Wow.
That's Lenny, dude.
That's Lenny.
Lenny Dykstra does not give a fuck. Like that's the whole thing, dude. You talk about people like, oh, that guy don't give a fuck. I don't think Lenny's like, his name's perfect, because that's what he reminds me of, like, of Mice and Men.
He's a total Lenny.
Yeah, he is. Like, he doesn't even know he's doing bad. He's just in the moment all the time. And he blinks and it's 40 years has passed. He's like, oh, I was in prison? Like, yeah, Lenny, for like 4 or 5 fucking years. He's all, fuck, man, I just been going, man. Chaw falling out of his mouth, fucking veins on the side of his neck popping out. Well, and then on top of that, then he had, this was another thing. So he was also arrested. This one cracks me up. He was charged with lewd behavior. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? So I Googled up like what his actual charge was, like what he did.
This was in 2012, I think.
I think so, yeah. Lenny was arrested for lewd behavior. So here's what he was doing. Dykstra was he was going on Craigslist and hiring housekeepers, personal assistants, all female. And then they would come up to his house to clean his house, talk to him, and he would just basically walk out naked and shit.
Yep.
Walk out with his dick hanging out, expose himself to him, hoping that it would turn into some porn scenario, like where he'd be like, yeah, man, I'll invite her over to clean my house. That dude watched too many Bang Bus episodes and was like, I'll get a maid up here and just fuck her. It'll be no problem. So he was doing that. They were coming up, oh, what would you like me to do, Mr. Dykstra? Mr. Dykstra, he like walks out of the room. He's like, hey, how's it going? With his dick hanging out. So that, and then here's the wild one. This is what he did. He held one of those chicks at knife point.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, dude, at knife point, and made him massage him, dude. What a psycho, dude. Just go to a rub and tug, dude. Go get jerked off. Go to a happy ending massage. Why do you hire this chick or get an escort?
Is that difficult
it's
to
that
find
simple.
one around here?
Yeah, you're in fucking Westlake. You're like a hop, skip, and a jump from Chatsworth, the porn capital of the world.
I've never looked, so I don't know.
You grew up in the porn capital of the world, Bryan.
I did.
You did. Probably was no different than growing up here, but they tell you that. Yeah, it was all,
It was fine.
But anyway, so that's what Lenny was doing, dude. Lenny was calling, pulling him from Craigslist and basically saying, hey, I'm naked. What a surprise. What do you want to do? And holding him at knife point for massages. What a psychopath, dude. And he was sexually harassing a 17-year-old girl at his fucking car wash, the Team Dykstra car wash in Simi Valley.
It's no wonder that he was on Anthony Cumia's show a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah, dude. Dude, Dykstra's on a bunch of podcasts and shit, dude. He can't get enough. Hopefully he hears this and gets pissed.
He loves talking about himself.
Yeah,
so
you know what that was about? That was the other thing I was getting to.
Yeah.
Then because you thought it was good, right? This dude can't stay out of jail. 2018, he was arrested again for coke and ecstasy possession and threatening the life of an Uber driver.
Fuck.
The dude's a fucking madman. He's out of his fucking mind, dude. Who does shit like this? Look at this guy threatening Uber drivers with cocaine and shit. He's like fucking, he's all coked up. What'd I do? Like, he's a maniac, dude. But no, back to the thing with Ron Darling.
Yeah.
He fucking came unglued because Ron Darling and wrote a tell-all book about the 86 Mets and his time in the big leagues and all these players. And he basically called out Lenny Dykstra for calling Dennis Oil Can Boyd on the Red Sox the N-word, racial slurs during warm-ups in the 86 World Series, and just said Dykstra was a piece of crap.
I think it was on the on-deck circle when he was doing that.
Is he on deck?
Yeah.
As he's warming up?
Yeah.
Just blatantly right there in front of everyone. Hey, I could see it, dude. Dykstra seems like a piece of shit when he was at his height. He's also kind of a legend. It's really weird. You know? Like he's the
anti-hero.
You respect the Motley Crue, go fuck yourself, 80s chaw mullet guy being a spaz, doing coke, doing all that shit. You're like, what a wild man. He's nuts.
But here he is on Compound Media.
Okay, so he's with Cumia. He went on the Cumia show and he's talking about the Ron Darling incident.
Yeah, this is 2019.
Bryan, listen to the story Lenny tells about the hooker. Listen, look, we'll get to this. Play it.
Okay.
Roll tape.
That he goes, oh, by the way.
Because, that's the problem. Because, see, now what happens now is because it was so crazy and the fact that they have video footage, number one, and you have a picture saying that, Darling uses to say, this is what led us to win the World Series, that I shook Oil Can Boyd up so bad. Oil Can Boyd said he didn't hear anything. Because there was nothing said, number one. I mean, he did hit the fucking barrel.
Oil Can was a little batshit anyway.
Well, I mean, I wrapped him around the foul pole. But that being said, nothing was said, though. So I'm like wondering, like, why would Mr. P, remember, we nicknamed Darling Mr. Perfect, Mr. P. Because he went to Yale, dude.
Went to Yale. He'd always dress to the nose and put his fur coat on.
Pause it real quick. I love how he said that. He's instantly fucking pissed because he went to Yale. And the way he says it, though, he puts his hand up and he's always all, he went to Yale, bro. He went to Yale. Like, you should get that. He's a piece of shit. He's an Ivy Leaguer. He's a pussy. That's so exactly, dude, that was the best. Just that one split second of him raising his hand going, he went to Yale, dude.
Or whatever. He did hit the fucking barrel.
Oil Can was a little batshit anyway.
Well, I mean, I wrapped him around the foul pole. But that being said, nothing was said, though, so I'm like wondering, like, why would Mr. P, remember, we nicknamed Darling Mr. Perfect, Mr. P, because he went to Yale, dude.
he went to Yale, dude. He was fucking, I love that. That's
like an old school radio guy.
Dude, Lenny's a legend. All right, let's keep it
to
going.
Yale, he'd always dress to the nines, his fur coat on.
Well, what else happened is I jerked his sheets in Chicago. He imported some pussy, and this is a great story. And maybe he's pissed off at that, but so some chick, I'm looking at, I heard this knocking on across the hall. I look at this fucking chick, and she says, I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm here to see Ryan. I said, oh, he left with a girl already. So I said, but you can put yourself in my room. So the next 3 nights, I'm fucking his pussy. Okay, hold on, dude. And he knows, I know that he knows that she knows that he knows.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and he's across the hall. So his import turned into my, and so, like, maybe
you stole his paid-for pussy.
Yeah, exactly. But
well, that might be why he's a little angry.
Well,
prepaid?
Well, the bottom line is,
you owe him some pussy.
Yeah.
Well,
He just needs some pussy.
look, Darling, you got to give him credit for lasting as long as he did in the big leagues. The way with that shit he brought to the party.
You don't think
he had nothing on the ball.
His A game?
He had nothing on the ball but his fucking hand. Okay. Okay, now he pitched good. I mean, changed speeds. He was smart.
Yeah.
Let's ask him. But here's the problem with
him. Is that what he said?
Just ask him. Yeah.
Darling right now. Now when he tells a story about a player, now you have to like say, is that true? Because, like, if someone lies once, they don't lie once. They're a fucking liar, right?
Right.
If someone steals, they don't steal once. They're a thief.
Exactly.
It's like a guy don't wake up at 30 and say, you know what? I think I'll try in the ass tonight. No, you've been getting in the ass, motherfucker.
Jesus.
Oh shit! I love how he rounded that out. You know, if you lie once, it's not you lie once. You're a liar. If you steal once, you don't steal once. You're a thief. If you take it in the ass, you don't take it in an ass at age 30. You've been doing it forever. Like, that's his philosophy. I like how loved his.
Straightforward.
I loved how the metaphor there. Like,
wow.
Lenny, to be honest with you, dude, like, it was hard for me at first to, like, you got to listen because he's like slurring. He looks fucked up there. Yeah. Am I going over the top? Or am I tripping? He seems a little slow.
No, he was completely trashed, yeah.
Yeah, he was fucking drunk, dude. He just had like a pint of Beam before he went in there, dude. He stole a hooker from Ron Darling.
Yeah.
He paid for it, Ron Darling, supposedly. Then she
Prepaid,
came,
yeah.
prepaid. She came to the room, wrong room. And he goes, oh, he left with some chicks, so you can hang out here. So she hung out, and he banged her for 3 days on Darling's tab. That's what kills me. He thinks that's why he didn't like me.
I mean, he said like
Mr. P.
Mr. Perfect is
But then
hiring
he's
hookers. And then it's just
But I like how. But that's what's funny to me about that is that he calls him Mr. Perfect, even though he's talking about getting hookers.
Ironically,
but because to Lenny Dykstra, that's normal. You always pay for sex, so he doesn't consider that
That's
nuts.
crazy.
What he called him perfect about was for not spitting on the ball or fucking putting Vaseline on his fingers like the whole league was doing.
That's amazing.
You know, he didn't do that because he didn't put nothing on the palm of his hand. That's what he said. Yeah. He's saying that basically he was a pussy. He didn't cheat like everyone else. He mentions getting prostitutes, but then he mentions how he's perfect because he didn't spit or doctor the ball up.
it's amazing.
He doesn't bring up that he's not perfect. You know, I think you lost me at perfect when you got prostitutes in there. Like, you're calling Mr. Perfect the dude pays for poon. Like, fucking dude, isn't that a sin?
Come on.
If you're religious, look at Lenny. Lenny don't give a shit. Look at dude. There's a lot. Lenny Dykstra's classic, dude. But yeah, that dude, he's a fucking wild man. He had to, there's so much more shit on him, but it's like when I got into this, like looking for Lenny Dykstra stuff, you guys, I was like seriously started going down the list, and it was like almost too much. I was like, I don't have enough time. And I don't know, like Lenny's just like one after the other. Here's my favorite part about Lenny Dykstra, and we'll wrap up Lenny on this one. Yeah. This was the funniest shit to me. You know how most people are like addicts, alcoholics, drug addicts. Lenny's one too. He's in like AA rehab, trying to work himself out, whatever. He had a tweet in 2023 in August that came out, and it was 2020. What it said was, it was classic. It basically was emphasizing, here it is right here. It says, now at 27 consecutive months without being arrested.
Right there.
There it is. That's the tweet. That was his tweet, dude. You know how most people on Facebook and your fuck up friends that got caught up in opioids and shit, and they go to recovery church and they find God and they can't stop telling everyone about it. This is the shit they post, but it'll say, now at 27 consecutive months sober. Lenny Dykstra's shit is like, now at 27 consecutive months without being incarcerated. It's like, that's what Lenny counts. They're like, hey, Lenny, you got your fucking 24-month chip for not fucking being behind bars.
He gets a chip.
He gets a chip for staying out of fucking the back of a police car. That's hilarious. That was an actual tweet. And I read an article about him, and this is how it ended, dude. It was fucking like funny and sad and brutal, but this was word for word what the article said. It said, he continues to move forward. He lives in a friend's house in Livingston, New Jersey. His teeth are replaced with dentures, and he has now been 29 months without being arrested.
Wow.
That's the end of the article. Baseball player, legend, cokehead, fucking you name it, Lenny Dykstra, a.k.a. Nails. So, yeah, dude, Lenny's a fucking legend, but that was too fucking funny. We should go to the other part of this segment. Is that how you end things? We just tailed off on that shit with Lenny Dykstra, you know?
Yeah. No, there's no rules.
There's no rules to this podcast. But yeah, if you ever were wondering about Lenny Dykstra, and you know, because I knew he was a bad boy, you know? Like, I just didn't know that I wouldn't have enough time or room to really document every single thing criminally that he's done or been involved with, from sexual assault to fucking assault to drug use, drug possession, grand theft auto, fucking laundering money. Like, the dude's just like nonstop threatening an Uber driver with his life. So yeah, moving on. There's another little segment I like to do called the over-under, Bryan. Mm-hmm. And it's where I kind of go, and it's opinion-based, and I'm not even sure about it. I'm going to ask you guys. Maybe that's kind of a trite thing to do. It's like you can fucking answer me.
Comment below.
Yeah, comment below. That'll be great. But no, the over-under, and that's referring to where we pick one player in Major League, two players. One player that I think, and I'll ask Bryan about it, and you guys drop your opinions. One player in Major League Baseball that's very overhyped or very overrated by either the fans, the announcers, and then someone that maybe doesn't get enough talk, maybe, or that's on the up and up, and maybe you better keep your eye on. That's not quite there yet. But so let's start with over. Let's start on the over. Mm-hmm. Overrated. I'm going to go ahead and say it, and I think a lot of people agree with me. I think one of the most overrated players in the last handful of years, the talk and the hype on this guy, and especially this started this year and last year as a whole, is none other than Juan Soto. Juan Soto on the San Diego Padres, to me, is one of the most overhyped players in Major League Baseball. They talk about this dude like he's Mike Trout Part 2 or that he's like Willie Mays. You couldn't be further off. I'm not buying it. Like, if you look at it, like, is he a good player? Is he talented? Absolutely. Is he young? Dude, he's like 23, 4. He's very young, and he's been in the league 3-4 solid years now, at least 4 or 5 years. I think he's 5 solid years. But every time you hear about Juan Soto, from whether it be guys on ESPN, guys on podcasts like or shows like Intentional Talk on MLB Network, or peers, players around the league, you read articles, you hear them talking at All-Star games and stuff like that. Fans, they can't stop talking about how great Juan Soto is. He's a 5-tool player. He's got everything. He's got the best eye in the game. He walks the most in the league. He does this, he does that. But it's like, okay, there's lots of players that do that. I just think the talk and the hype they give this dude, and then if you look at his numbers, like, say, comparably to, like, say, Mike Trout. Mm-hmm. Mike Trout's been around since 2011, I think, 2012. But if you look at comparatively, like, the first 5 years of the career of Mike Trout and Juan Soto, right? The only thing is Juan Soto's so young that give him a couple more years is what I'm saying before you start talking him up like this. Because I'll be honest with you, I know we're only 3 weeks into the year. He's had almost 80 at-bats this year, but he's supposed to be a superstar. You tell me another superstar, an Aaron Judge, a Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, a Mookie Betts that starts the year batting 164 with 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, and they're talking about how he's going into a contract year. He's going to be a free agent after this year, and how he's going to possibly, he or Ohtani are going to sign the biggest deal in Major League Baseball history. Ohtani, yeah. You're getting a starting pitcher that has an ERA of 3 and can pitch 25 fucking starts for you and dominate.
He can hit too.
And hit 40 home runs a year for you.
It's crazy.
That's insane. That makes sense.
He's batting second in the lineup.
No, I know. It's crazy. Juan Soto, on the other hand, I mean, dude, his numbers, I already said it. 164, 3 and 7. I know we're 18 games in. Look at his numbers last year. This is a superstar you're talking about. This guy's worth $40 million a year. Look at his year last year. I'll tell you what his stats were last year. He hit 242, 27 home runs, 62 RBIs in a complete full major league season in the same league. Ooh. It's not like he changed leagues.
It's not good.
That's a superstar, dude. 27 home runs, 62 RBIs, and you hit 242. And you're talking about the biggest contract in Major League Baseball history, possibly? I mean, we'll see what you do this year, but you're not off to a good start already. You're going to have a big hole to dig out of. Yeah. And on top of that, I think it was his first year, because he does hit 300. But there's been 2 years where he hasn't. 240 is awful last year. It's not awful. It is awful. Fuck that. If you're not hitting above 260, 270 and you're in the majors, I hope to God you have a fucking platinum glove, because there's no reason you should be in the majors if you can't hit over 260. It's kind of stupid. But there's guys that hit 212, 190 like Juan Soto, and they're in there. I think Juan Soto, I don't know if you guys agree with me. He can hit. He's got a great eye. He's got a great arm. He's got speed. He's athletic in the outfield. I just don't see him being better than Mike Trout. I don't see him being worth more than Bryce Harper. Just watching him, I don't. And he seems real arrogant to me. I don't know. We'll see. But I think Juan Soto is highly overrated for the talk and the hype and what they're saying. Like, he's like up in the in the level with Ohtani. No one's in Ohtani's level, but like Ohtani, Bryce Harper, even Trout's at it again this year. Like, he's not there yet. He's had a couple really good seasons, but to call him the best player in baseball at this age, you're out of your fucking mind. He's completely overrated.
Well, reporters were asking him just yesterday about his slow start and about Tatis. His return, but we'll see what he has to say. I haven't watched this yet, but if it sucks, we'll cut it out.
Base percentage, you lead the league in walks, on pace for 30 home runs. Just a matter of time before the average starts getting there as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're just starting. It's been tough. I've been having up and down, but definitely it's just the beginning. We're in a good pace. I think we start seeing ball batters and everything. I think I'm going to be fine.
You'd made some changes in spring training. It looked like a lot of good things were happening with the lower body and the hands as well. Are you still working on some of those things? Are you feeling a difference using those? Yeah,
definitely. I'm still working on my stuff. I always say is whatever you give you results, I just keep doing it. So even if I'm not getting the results right now, I know I'm going to get it. So I'm going to be fine.
It looks like you're managing the pitch clock a lot better. I know you've tried some different things, but you're taking your time. You're trying to take control of some of that. Are you feeling a little bit more comfortable in those situations?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes I try to control it. Sometimes it goes out of my hand that I got to step in and just call timeout. I just feel in a rush. And mostly the mostly part is like when I'm coming from the on deck. That's when it's killing me right now. But I'm still trying to figure out how to manage the time.
This is what I'm talking about. Did you hear what he said? Coming from the on-deck circle to the plate. That's what he's having problem with. You know why? Because he's a cocky fuck and he has to have this whole entourage walk up all fucking like the man with this song popping his collar and shit. He's a fucking clown, dude. I don't like this guy, period. He is great, and he's a threat. I don't like playing him. I'm like, yeah, fuck. Because he could be Juan Soto at any time. But I don't buy it. We're going to go let him fizzle and see what happens in his career.
We'll be watching him.
Yeah, of course he's having a problem with time because he's got to make sure his hair is perfect and tap his cleats 3 times and undo his belt things and look at the crowd and shake his head and then stare at the pitcher and dog him for a minute. Like, he's a fucking nut job, lunatic, dude. All right, we're going to get to the end of this. We're going to wrap it up here. We got our last segment of the afternoon where it's a section called Mic'd Up, where we're just going to play some funny stuff maybe from a manager, a player that maybe you've never heard before, behind the scenes. Back in the 70s, you didn't hear this shit on ABC News at night because you couldn't do it. So a lot of it serves you now. We're going to play clips, whether it be George Brett shitting his pants, Pedro Guerrero's statement on being arrested and claiming he was stupid, or Tommy Lasorda, in response to somebody saying that he had them intentionally beamed by a pitch. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. We got to wrap it up. I think we're going to take it out with this. Does that sound good to you, Bryan?
That sounds great. Let's do that.
I got to get on the road. Okay. Thanks for tuning in to Screwballs. We will be back next week. Until then, stay tuned and enjoy this clip. Have a good one.
Tell you what I think about it. I think that is very, very bad for that man to make an accusation like that. That is terrible. I have never, ever, since I've managed, ever told a pitcher to throw at anybody, nor will I ever. And if I ever did, I certainly wouldn't make him throw at a fucking 130 hitter like LaFay or fucking Bavacqua, who couldn't hit water if he fell out of a fucking boat. And I guarantee you this, when I pitched, and I was going to pitch against a fucking team that had guys on it like Bavacqua, I sent a fucking limousine to get the cocksucker to make sure he was in the motherfucking lineup because I kicked that cocksucker's ass any fucking day in a week. He's a fucking motherfucking big mouth, I'll tell you that.